Dolby Atmos has reinvented how entertainment is created and experienced, allowing creatives everywhere to place each sound precisely and dynamically for a more realistic and immersive audio experience. As of the 2023.12 software release, the Dolby Atmos renderer is integrated directly into Pro Tools Studio and Pro Tools Ultimate and is free to customers on both Mac and Windows. The integrated Dolby Atmos renderer improves the efficiency of immersive mixing workflows with simplified setup, mixing, and monitoring. You can now render and monitor Dolby Atmos mixes within Pro Tools without having to round trip to an external renderer. A new window provides comprehensive visualization of your Atmos mix from various perspectives and allows you to quickly switch between multi-speaker and binaural headphone monitoring. Additionally, a new I/O setup tab simplifies the configuration of beds, objects, groups, and trim and downmix settings and saves them as part of your session for easy recall. For customers mixing Atmos for larger cinematic workflows or needing the Dolby Atmos Music Panner plugin, Pro Tools Studio and Ultimate still support the external Dolby Atmos renderer. The Dolby Atmos internal renderer supports monitoring configurations up to 916, as well as binaural for headphones, and allows users to create, mix, and deliver in Dolby Atmos all in Pro Tools. Let's take a closer look at how the new integrated Dolby Atmos renderer works. The output of the renderer is internally routed to the designated monitor path in the Output tab of the I/O setup. This will also determine the largest available monitor or speaker format. In most cases, this will match your room's speaker configuration. If only working with headphones, choose that output. The Dolby Atmos tab in the I/O setup allows selection and setup of the internal renderer. Here, you can enable Dolby Atmos and choose between the Dolby Atmos internal renderer or an external renderer if available. If starting from scratch, an easy way to create a base configuration is to use the default button to create a basic single 712 bed and 118 objects that can be configured in either mono or stereo. Choosing stereo paths can be a good place to start. This makes it easier to work with stereo elements. The individual mono paths within stereo pairs can still be used separately, so you have the flexibility of assignment in the Pro Tools mixer. Also in the Dolby Atmos tab are drop-downs to configure the live loudness re-render and the live headphone re-render, which run alongside the main monitoring output. Measuring loudness can be important if you're planning to distribute your Atmos mix, as various streaming services have loudness requirements. Loudness for Dolby Atmos is most often measured using a 5:1 re-render. The live headphone re-render lets you flexibly route a discrete stereo or binaural monitoring output in parallel to your primary monitor outputs. This makes it easy to listen to the binaural render without changing or interrupting your monitor configuration. The Group button provides the ability to add and modify groups, allowing you to make logical collections of tracks. These are typically used to associate channels to stems such as dialogue and music, making it easier to create re-renders like an M&E when you bounce your mix. Groups can also define color coding for your paths, providing useful visual cues in the Pro Tools mixer. The Trim and Downmix page allows advanced changes to be made to the fold-downs to channel-based formats like 5:1, Pro Logic, and Stereo, for example. These settings can help ensure that a consistent mix is delivered when played back in smaller formats. For example, in a mix with a lot of sound effects or music above and behind, you may want to reduce the levels a little to make sure the dialogue and screen action remains clear. This information is stored as metadata in the ADM file, but also affects the monitor outputs and live re-renders. Now, let's look at how that appears in the Pro Tools Edit and Mix window, along with the all-new Dolby Atmos renderer window, which becomes active when the internal renderer is enabled. Starting in the top left is the monitor format selector. As mentioned, this will only allow monitoring as wide as the monitor path. A binaural option is provided here for situations when the main monitor output feeds your headphones. Next are shortcuts to the I/O setup and trim and downmix controls. Across the top right is a mute button and then mutes for beds or objects separately. On the left we have channel number and level indicators, the enclosing boxes showing channels grouped as beds and the individual channels configured as objects a blue ring to indicate an active assignment. In the middle, we have a real-time display of objects and their active movement and levels. The room model can either be a theatre or person view, and under Show are several options of what information is displayed alongside the object. You can freely move the position by clicking and dragging with your mouse, as well as a few preset positions for top and rear. The top right shows the currently selected monitor format, and below that, a meter. Starting with a very simple example, here we have a stereo track with some drums, which has been assigned to the bed by going to the output and selecting bed. And when we play, you will notice the meters in the bed section, as we pan, move across the channels of the 712 bed. The next track is assigned to the first available stereo object under the track controls and the bus object toggle set to object. As we pan this around, we see the level and the matching channel number, but also get a representation of the position, size, and level. Opening the Dolby Atmos session that's included with the Pro Tools installer, we can see a better representation of what the Atmos renderer looks like when more tracks are feeding beds and objects. The re-render outputs as configured in the Dolby Atmos tab are available as inputs for AUXs and audio tracks where they can be monitored or used for loudness measurements. A master fader can be assigned to the renderer output to control its level. And finally, Pro Tools can directly output a Dolby Atmos ADM file as well as re-renders in various formats. ADM files are the standard delivery format for an Atmos mix, containing all the audio and metadata for the project. Re-renders are downmixed to channel-based formats from stereo all the way to 916. You can configure your bounce to create multiple re-renders at the same time as your ADM export. By using the group feature in the Dolby Atmos tab, you can also create customized stem outputs such as dialogue, music, and effects, all in one process. Be sure to check out the demo session tour video and get more information on Pro Tools at avid.com.